His skin is white just like a ghost, thick Irish roots and his blonde hair, and he sounds like a Chicago super fan. A music nerd with a collection of CDs from here to there. Yes, Andy Dare is in Chicago, interviewing and barbecuing. It's the Andy Dare Show. It's the Andy Dare Show.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking out the Andy Dare Show. This is our epic 104th episode. I'm joined by a first-time guest. She's a real cool girl. Her name is Rozee Zombie. She is known best for her work with Resistance Pro Wrestling, a new independent wrestling company based out of Chicagoland. They've been doing it for a couple years now, and they are creating quite a buzz. As far as wrestling goes, you know, the last 10, 15 years have been a real, not a good time for pro wrestling, you know. As, big mergers happened and companies fell by the wayside. But Resistance Pro is trying to regain the flame of cool wrestling, just like the stuff that happened in the 80s with the WrestleManias. They are building a bunch of new talent up, and they have quite a stable of cool people working for them, cool wrestlers, cool personalities. It's a great time. Go out and check it out. They're going to be kind of by me, actually. It's called Arabian Nights Horse Barn. They're going to be over there on February 22nd, and the event is called Girls, Girls, Girls. They'll be finding some new female talent for Resistance Pro. And Rozee she really goes by the name of Miss Prig. That's her character. She is Jesse Corrigan, his therapist, and she'll take him out to the stage. She'll be by his side. She's always there for Jesse, and that's her character. And she's quite an eye-catching woman. You know, she's very cool, very beautiful, lots of tattoos, just an artistic look that is eye-catching from the moment she steps in there. And I've been able to see Resistance Pro twice now, and I always have a blast. I bring friends. I brought my dad one time. And they always leave saying, hey, I want to go next time. And it's cool. Like the last time we went, they kept adding more and more chairs, meaning that they kept selling more and more tickets as the event was going on. And it's a good time for the whole family. You know, the kids will enjoy it for all the body slams and all the hits. But, the adults will like it too because they're good-looking people. There's, a little bit of violence here and there. A lot of smack talking, a lot of actual smacking going on. And it's a good time, so I would definitely recommend it. I had been friends with Jesse for about a year before I even heard about the wrestling, and it's quite an awesome part of his life. And I had the chance to interview him. He was episode 99. I think we did that in December. Check it out; it's on YouTube. And I was like, I want to talk to your therapist. She seems really cool. And then we met up via the social medias and stuff like that. And I met her at the last event. And, this girl knows everything about music. She knows all these things about the Pumpkins, 9 Inch Nails. Every band she likes is a cool band, and she goes to tons of shows. So, I thought she'd make a great guest, and she did. So, it's a great interview. Check it out. Besides that, just want to give a shout-out to everybody who's checked out the Dare network of podcasts that I started last year. Been doing this show for nearly 3 years. We're coming up on our 3rd anniversary, so I thought it would be cool to, spread the wealth of listeners that I do have. It's not huge, but I do have a little, I've got a nice little audience built from the last 3 years. And not to mention the last 10 years of doing college radio, high school radio, independent podcasts, stuff like that. I just like doing broadcasting. So when I started doing my show, it was just, let's get 25 people to enjoy it every week. And now let's try to get 2,000 people to enjoy it every week, and I hope to build that up to, a couple million eventually. But I'm doing it with cool people. I've got Jay Pork, straight out of Staten Island, New York City. He doesn't hold his tongue for anybody. He's got that whole New York City mentality that people like Nas, Jay-Z, even Lou Reed, that tough guy personality. But shoot, he lets go of his sensitive side here and there. He'll tell you what's going on, what's going wrong with his personal life, with his job situation, with his concert-going experiences. And yeah, that's pretty much how I'm billing it. I'm billing it as Seinfeld if he liked awesome punk rock shows. And yes, it's a good time. Check it out, the J Porks Show, or the J Porks Experience. Follow him on Twitter at JPorks. And a new episode every Monday at theandydareshow.com. And now we also have Tyler Cale. I've been recording shows with him for two and a half years now, straight out of Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. And yes, he couldn't be any more different than Jay, but he's cool in his own way. And he's always had my back. I always have his back. He's got a background in broadcasting as well, working with people like Adam Carolla, Dave Damashek, John Sally when John Sally had his podcast. And yeah, the guy's full of talent. He does dopspot.com, which is a doppelganger website, which I've never heard of something like that before. So I thought, hey, original idea, funny guy, smart guy. Sure, he poses on, he does a lot of selfie shots, but don't we all when we're in shape? And yes, he's in shape, so it helps that. But yes, Tyler Cale, Tyler Kahl on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, just want to thank those two guys for doing shows. His show's every Thursday, Jay's is every Monday, and mine post every Saturday. Only at the Dare Network. We got a little Twitter for Dare Network, just at DERER Network. And if you like what you're hearing, if you want to support, and if you want to spend 0 extra cents or dollars, go to theandydareshow.com. Look at the right side of the page. There will be a big Amazon banner. You can't miss it. Takes you right to Amazon. And yeah, you let us keep the lights on here at the Honeycomb Hideout Studios in Westmont, Illinois. And yes, hopefully I'll be able to pay these guys pretty soon. And I really appreciate all the cool stuff bought under my Amazon banner, like iPads, iPods, albums, MP3 albums, cool memorabilia, computer gear, jewelry, all sorts of cool stuff. If it's out, you can find it at Amazon, and we appreciate everybody that supports our network. That about does it for our plugs. I just want to thank Rozee Zombee. Follow her on Instagram, RozeeZombee. And follow her on Twitter at Heavy Metal Noise. And check out Miss Prig, her awesome ResistancePro.com character. Miss Prig can be found on Twitter at Miss Prig. And do check them out, February 22nd in Willowbrook, Illinois, ResistancePro.com. Just want to thank Jesse, want to thank Rozee, want to thank everybody for keeping the momentum up and for everybody's continued support of my show. Without further ado, my episode 104 with Rozee Zombee. Thank you so much for checking out the Andy Dare Show. This is episode 104. I am joined by a real cool lady, Rozee Zombee from Resistance Pro Wrestling. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, we're at 0 degrees in Chicagoland, so I'm just stuck in the house all day, and I'm kind of waiting for spring to hit, you know?
Totally cabin fever. Bad.
Yeah, I'm going crazy in here. But luckily I got you to talk to, and so you're up in Milwaukee, is that true?
Correct. I live in Milwaukee. It's not that far, hour and a half from the city,
sure.
Chicago.
Yeah, I took a trip up there like November, and yeah, you'll get there pretty quickly, and they've got their own little scene going on up there. And yeah, you're talking about this record store. What's it called again? It proclaimed on their website that they're like the earliest record store that's still around in like the Midwest area.
Well, yeah, it's called the Exclusive Company. They have a couple locations. Of course, they had more, but now they're closed. Yeah, it's a good store. I also go to Rushmore Records in Bayview, Wisconsin. That one's a good place.
Nice.
And there's also one called Bullseye Records, I believe. I've actually only been there once, so that's in Milwaukee too. But yeah, Exclusive is the one I go to the most.
That's awesome. I pretty much grew up in record stores over here.
Yeah.
And
I know that from listening to your show, and it made me think of you. So
nice. I appreciate it.
You have to go.
I'm gonna definitely want to go up there. I'm gonna want to take a trip up there. Maybe we can meet up and yeah, hit up a record store. I'm sorely missing all the ones that's been closing left and right. But the whole like music in general, the whole industry is changing. And yeah, you put up on your Twitter a couple days ago the BeatsMusic, fronted by Trent Reznor. I think Dr. Dre's a part of it too. Explain a little bit about that. I'm kind of unaware of it right now.
Well, I'm totally in love with it. You should try it because the first week is free at least. So but you just they use it as a social media type thing where you can you have a profile and you can hook up with other people that have like the same music as you. You can make playlists. You can go in and pick basically any album, any artist that you want, and save it in your profile. So it's there forever. And the thing that they're using to promote it is they have you build a sentence. So they give you a couple different
What they ask what your styles that you like or what?
Well, in the very beginning they ask what styles you like, but then after that they go a little bit further, which is why it's cool. They give you a sentence to complete, like, I am in my house doing yoga and with zombies in the future listening to metal, and then it picks a playlist
nice.
From that. So yeah, it's different. I like it a lot. I love it.
That's pretty sweet. Have you ever found any music that's not up there? You're like, well, why don't they have this? Or does it seem pretty much like they have a huge library of music?
Well, I've only had it. Well, I've had it for less than a week now. But I think, there were a couple bands I remember that weren't in there. But I mean, I think as time goes on, there more will be included, I would assume. Plus, it's only in the United States right now, so
I got you.
That too.
So you get the first week for free, and then you have to shell out after if you still want to keep using it.
I think it's $10 a month, and I think that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
I mean, considering
that's nothing.
The value of the dollar these days, right? Well, and I mean, of course, I still love buying physical music, which I'll never get away from that. But for this on the go, you can't carry your vinyl everywhere.
Yeah, can't bring it in the car. It's very easy to use. Seems like it.
Right,
and
even get scratched and all that. I mean, I'm sure you kind of keep your CDs archived at this point.
Pretty much, but they still get scratched. They're taking up a huge amount of space in my house. I'd like to use that for other things, but it's an addictive thing, and like I've got that addictive style to me. So.
Me too. I have to get everything. I always did that though. All the singles for your favorite bands or the imports, all of that.
Sure, of course. And we're in our 30s. We were from that era where they were still pumping that stuff out when we were teenagers. And but I talked to this comedian Paul Gilmartin who does a therapeutic podcast. Actually, it's all about psychology and stuff. And he said I'm using the CD while I'm building up a wall, not unlike Roger Waters. I'm trying to build a wall between me and getting my feelings hurt by a woman and stuff like that. Which I've had that many times. So like the CD wall will never cheat on me,
Exactly. Yeah, music is your best friend.
It is true. So I said it could be something worse, a worse addiction. So.
I totally agree. Right. It's physical and a mental addiction. And he's physically using it as well as mental. I love it. That's amazing.
Nice.
I'll have to remember that one.
So the thing is, like, I'm using this show to try to make something else out of my knowledge of music, try to network, try to meet people, trying to further other people's shows and stuff like that. And a cool thing about you are a wrestler, Resistance Pro Wrestling. How long have you been with them? Or did you say it's going to be about a year now, right?
Yes. It will be a year in February. And actually, well, I'm a part of the wrestling company. Billy Corgan is the creative director, as most people know. But I don't wrestle. I'm what they call in wrestling, it's a valet or manager. I'm the therapist for Billy's brother, Jesse Corgan. And so, but yeah, I'm definitely a part of the company. It's an awesome independent wrestling company in Chicago. And if anybody is ever around the Chicago area, we have events about once a month. And it's so fun. I know you've been to the events before, Andy, and you enjoyed it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've been twice now. I went once in May and sat next to Billy's stepmom and stepdad, and Jesse came and said hi. And I've been hanging out with Jesse here and there for a couple of years now. And yeah, if you want to just have an awesome night, bring the kids, but it's also not boring. It's a lot of fun for everybody, not just the kids. The adults have something fun too, and especially this one coming up, Girls, Girls, Girls. I think would be something that would be good to look at as well, right?
Yes, it's going to be amazing. It will, and you're right. It's fun for the whole family.
Yeah,
but
so
it isn't geared toward any one age group, of course. But it's appropriate for all ages. It's
nice.
But it's a community thing. But it goes a little further than that. We have wrestlers that come in from all over, people that that you will recognize if you were a wrestling fan as well.
Sure, they always have a big name come out, and then they're also building a bunch of younger talent, young wrestlers coming in and out, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. These guys take massive hits to their body. As I was talking to Jesse, I don't know how they walk around the next day slamming into the ring, 10 times during a match.
Oh, it's definitely a sport, and everybody works very hard, put their heart into it, and of course, like we were talking about before, physically and mentally. But yeah, it's a great group of people, and I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Nice.
There's never a dull moment around Resistance Pro, and that's a good thing.
Of course.
But yeah, the next one is February 22nd, Saturday, at Willowbrook.
Nice. Back to my hometown. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great town. I like when we have the shows there, and resistancepro.com is the website where we sell tickets for the show.
Nice. How long have you known Billy for, and did you know him before this, or is this how you guys met?
Oh, actually, no, I did know him before Resistance Pro. He asked if I wanted to be a part of it, and of course, I said yes. I was so excited about that because I'm not a wrestler, so I'm not sure how I would have, became a part of it. So that was cool. But actually, I just met him. It's weird, just because of the Smashing Pumpkins. It just turned out that, he was at a show and I was there. And well, the weird thing, if you really want to know the full story, I tweeted him just on a whim because I didn't have tickets for a particular show, and they were playing in Milwaukee, and it was for the Oceania tour. I had gone to the tour. It was a year before that. But this particular year, I couldn't, or it wasn't in the funds. Anyway, I just decided I'm going to tweet him, and then I thought to myself, don't do that. That's stupid. And then I thought again, well, just do it. Whatever. Who cares? So
sure.
I did. And he wrote back to me, and he wrote, sure, what is your name? And I got all excited, and then that was it. We stayed friends.
That's awesome.
So it was nice. He took a chance on me, and just, it turned out, I live in Milwaukee, and he's not that far. And I think we were talking about record stores before, the big record store, I don't know if you remember this one, but it was called Atomic Records in Milwaukee. I don't know if you remember that one or not.
No, but I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, that was the place that I went since I was like 14 years old, since somebody could drive me there. It was, downtown Milwaukee. But anyway, the Pumpkins had big ties to that store, and so I would go and buy whatever came out every week. So I think that's, why I was so connected to the Pumpkins since Gish, because, Atomic promoted it. Even though they were on a major label, I think, them being a little bit closer to Milwaukee. And Pumpkins, if you Google it or YouTube it, they did an in-store show there. Yeah, during the Gish era. So, and I asked Billy if he remembered it. He said, of course I remember that. And also they played at the Unicorn, which has been torn down now, but that's in Milwaukee. So yeah, it's just, everything comes full circle, which is weird, but it's awesome.
That is crazy. Yeah.
Isn't it? It's cool, but yeah, I'm lucky that I have such awesome friends, Billy being one of them.
Yeah, back in the day, you'd go for a midnight, when they released an album on, Tuesday, you'd go on Monday and midnight.
Yes!
Stand in line, right?
Yes, and I told him I still have my Siamese Dream album because I waited in line at midnight for it to come out. And yeah, so I still have the CD, like you said. I've since bought another copy, but I just recently at Amoeba Records in Los Angeles. And it was
store. I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah, they like put little stickers and everything out of print, or if it's like a first pressing. I mean, this is just a CD, but it says first pressing. I'm like, oh, I'll get another first press.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way that I met Billy, like I've never really said it on this show, but I guess he was in Swan, and then they, that obviously they broke that up only about a year after the album, or maybe just months actually. And so he said he was going to do a acoustic recording session, and we all lined up at the Metro on a Saturday morning at like 7 a.m. in the cold, and got to talk to Joe Shanahan, which was nice, the owner of the Metro. And yeah, we got the tickets. It was at a weird kind of it's been about 10 years now, so I can hardly remember, but it was at like an old rundown church or something. That rings a bell. And he played like 6 or 7 crazy awesome acoustic songs that were totally nothing that he's ever done before or since. And yeah, they were amazing. I really wish eventually I'm sure he'll probably put that on one of these expanded deluxe box sets. They recorded the whole thing. So
yeah, that's really amazing I wasn't there at that particular event, but it's definitely a piece of history. I know we have a lot of, cool little things that in Chicago that people don't get to do, even if they're in LA or New York. Yeah, well, Billy's done a couple acoustic shows at Zuzu's and things like that. It's like, yeah, it's similar to what you were talking about.
Nice.
It's just amazing. There's no way to describe it almost. Like and you were there, right?
Yeah, it's hard to describe, and the cool thing that he does, especially with these deluxe reissues, is he pretty much saves all this stuff, and for the future, eventually we'll all want to hear it, and he's got it,
right.
Probably shelved away, probably locked away in a safe somewhere, and so, it's going to be put out eventually, and, these reissue series, they're gorgeous. They're the deluxe boxes are so cool looking, the Pieces Iscariot has the demo tape or a reproduction of the demo tape in there. It's just a really cool thing. So
yeah, I love all of that. I love all of them. It's got each one is a little bit different, and right, there's so many extra songs and music and versions of songs that you haven't heard, and it's just
sure
anybody that's into the music, of course, will love it. I can't wait for the next one, which will be Adore. I know there's a big buzz about that, but yeah, the last one was The Airplane Flies High, and I was just excited to get it. I love it. I'm still listening. The live CD in there is just
it's sick. Yeah, a 25-minute sober fuck, and yeah, there's a whole bunch of good stuff.
Yeah, it's just the intensity and the fire. It's just, yeah. And for us, we remember all of that stuff. Like we say, growing up, we're old now. No, but it's
not
really,
old.
I love it. No, not at all. I'm kidding. It's funny. We kind of talk like we are.
Yeah, kind of.
But,
I like to say I'm old to like these high school kids, and then I'll turn around and there'll be a guy that's 48 years old, and I'll be like, okay, I feel like a jackass now.
Right, but we have to teach the young children about
yeah, that's
music.
what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do. And yeah, Adore was cool. Like, it was a weird era in my life. I was just starting out high school. Jimmy Chamberlain wasn't with them. They kind of changed their image, but I still love the album. It was a darker one. It was kind of like a 180 turn away from melancholy, but it was still a cool album. And it just seems like as the years pass on, Adore gets cooler and cooler to my ears. So.
Oh yes, it's aging very well. But no, for me, I liked the direction they were in because at the time I was into more of the electronic music, the electronic scene, if you will. So it fit in perfect. And I liked some goth at the time, and I still do, new wave and
sure.
what. So that kind of fits in too. So it totally fit in with my tastes at the time, but yeah, it's an awesome album. But yeah, so that's my story on how I met Billy. It's a good story.
Nice. And I just told you about like Chris Connolly. I knew he was a manager at Reckless because I went there and interviewed him and stuff like that, and he's got an awesome book too. And then you posted pictures of you backstage at the Chris Connolly show. What was that, last January? I was in the crowd. But yeah, you made it backstage,
Yeah.
talked to Shirley, Billy, Chris Connolly, Matt Walker too?
Yeah, that was after the benefit show for the Sons of the Silent Age at the Metro. Yeah, you were there, right?
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I didn't know you then, so. But yeah, that was a really good show. Yeah, that was fun. And I had met Shirley before, and it was actually when I was at a Marilyn Manson show, and her and I don't know if she remembered it, but I told her what she said to me. She said, when I had a Manson show, I just feel like everybody's cheering for me because they're saying Manson, Manson. It was cool. And
Oh, I just got that now. Okay.
had a moment, and we both laughed about that because that was way before, but I had met her before. No, she's a very sweet person. She's such a sweetheart. And Chris, too. Yeah, that was fun after that show. Yeah, Billy was just there as
just hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah, just watching it, just like me. So, yeah, it was fun.
If you're looking for anybody that looks exactly like David Bowie, it's Chris Connolly, and he's a great singer, and he's got a good stage presence, so it all works out. And they're still doing shows under that name,
amazing.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they do them, it seems every few, quarterly maybe, or twice a year. Yeah, that particular one was a benefit, so it was a really important show, and it sold out, of course, and with Shirley Manson and Chris Connolly, Matt Walker, yeah, it's amazing. That's what I'm saying. In Chicago, we're pretty lucky. Some of the shows that we get.
Are you a Ministry fan or a Revolting Cox fan too, or was that
of course.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. When a door, it's kind of reminiscent of some of those things. It was, at least to me. I think it has some of those elements. Oh yeah, totally love that stuff. Dancing to that in the clubs and yeah.
That industrial grind and stuff, yeah.
Oh yeah, industrial music it's underrated, I think. But I mean, not that ratings matter, but I love it. And the last Ministry show I went to was not this past summer, but the summer before, where he charged $69.69 a ticket, but it was totally worth it.
Nice. His book is insane. If you want to read a book about a crazy rock star, it's Al Jorgensen's.
I need to get that one.
Bio.
And on the other side of it, I need to get Morrissey's book as well. I'm usually pretty good on keeping up with my biographies. I have a bunch of them, but thank you for that recommendation. Nice. I need to still get that one. So you were really into it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. However, it's hard to know what's true and what's not. I mean, he talks mad shit about Chris Connolly in it, which is weird because they were bandmates, but they haven't spoken for 15 years or something like that. But Al is also just a funny guy. He's full of demons. But he's also, kind of a little bit Chicago, he loves the Blackhawks, and he's funny like that. But I did read on his Facebook, he's been doing Facebook lately, and his wife, what's her name, Angie Jorgensen, she put out a plea to the fans for us to ask Al to go to rehab again, Yeah. And just to quit the booze this time. I guess he quit everything else but the booze. He's just still going crazy with. And so he booked a date. He's going February 3rd so he can get shit-faced for the Super Bowl. And I thought that was funny.
Hey, Scott, you have to do it up big somehow. No, that's awesome. I'm not on Facebook, but
yeah, it's pretty funny.
He still has it. I mean, it was good. I liked it. It had good energy. It was at the Vic. But I didn't know that about the rehab and all that. Well, that's good that he has people around him supporting him.
Yeah.
But it's hard to, leave that rock star lifestyle, I'm sure, but you have to be healthy and make music for the fans. So I agree with his wife.
Yeah, it's such a push and pull because you built your whole life on the rock star mentality, the fuck you mentality, and all that stuff, a nihilism type of approach to life. But then you have this whole support behind you, and you want to keep going. It's hard to say, and it's cool. Another thing that Billy does, he's pretty clean and sober, and he seems like he's driven with business and with music and with creativity. It seems like he was able to continue without ever really delving into the the cliche rock star mentality that maybe hit Jimmy a little bit. Jimmy Chamberlain hit that up a little bit. Obviously, right. Kurt Cobain, everybody that Alice in Chains, everybody that he was, in the same rock and roll class in the early 90s, a lot of them are not even living anymore, and it's cool that Billy was able to put that aside and just continue with the,
Yeah, I'm very glad he is helping everything, because I think music needs people like Billy. Like you said, the way the music industry is going, it's totally changed. And a lot of bands, I think, the newer bands, well, as you probably know, it doesn't take talent.
Sure. I saw the Grammys last night. Yeah. I saw the Grammys last night, and there's not a whole lot of talent up there. I mean, it was cool to see Trent, Josh Homme, and Dave Grohl, and Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac rocked out the closing moment, but then they cut him off, and then Trent put on Twitter, big fuck you to the Grammys for cutting us off. So
I didn't even watch the Grammys, and what you just said is why I just figured. Even though Trent and I love Trent and Dave Grohl and of course, Fleetwood Mac, Lindsay, but I just didn't. It doesn't interest me. It's bad. It's a shit show.
It is a shit show.
It's just right. I'm not surprised. That was the first I've heard of it. I wasn't on Twitter much today. But it doesn't surprise me at all.
So, like in 2014, the bands who were used to be able to make millions of dollars, going to the studio and releasing albums, now they have to find other avenues. And while that kind of sucks, it's also cool that it's a new era, that like Trent will now do the BeatsMusic thing, recommending all this music. Billy's got the wrestling going on. Everybody's trying to do something else, if not just tour a shitload, so you can actually keep making money on the road and stuff like that. Does Billy ever talk about like it's a lot harder to make money in music nowadays, or does he ever open up that side to you, say like, was it easier in 1994 to make a living off music as opposed to 2014? I'm sure it's got to be, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I listened to a lot of interviews, with Billy, and I've heard him talk about that in interviews. As far as that with me, I mean, we talk about all different things, but I mean, when I listen to the reissues, or I'll just, I'll tell him like what I like, and
nice.
But like as far as like making money and stuff like that, I don't know. We don't, I don't talk about that with him, because, it's like we're, just regular people. So I don't ask him like questions like that people in interviews would ask him. I just listen to like recent interviews and assume that's what he's thinking at the time. But a couple good ones for him that I've heard explaining like how he feels about the music industry were the Alex Jones. They're on YouTube. There's two. One where he talks about like the paradigm shift.
I saw that.
I think that's like that explains a lot. And I think a lot of musicians are feeling that way. And that was when he did the South by Southwest, the panels and in Austin. That was 2 years ago. But yeah, like you said, touring, I think it was awesome. That Smashing Pumpkins, Oceania, and they played the entire album from the very first song to the very last song. And then after that, they played, some older songs. I thought that was awesome. Like you said, new music model. Like, what do people have to do to make money? I think that was awesome on their part. And that album is really, I love it a lot. And I think it was pretty well received. And I think even, it brought in younger fans. And as far as the music industry paradigm shift and all that, because I have an MBA, I have a master's in business, and for our thesis, you could choose anything just as long they wanted you to follow a certain writing style and organization and whatnot. Okay. So I did mine. That's what I did my thesis on, just the new music model. And
awesome.
So yeah, it was interesting that you mentioned that with Billy and everything.
You should publish that. Yeah. You should put that up.
I never thought about that, but sure, why not? Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, I did, of course, extensive research, but it was really interesting for me. And now, now it's a few years later, and it's just even more in the forefront of music news because we still don't really have the answer.
Well, I feel like a big thing that's missing from 20 years ago is MTV had all these bands. They had their back, and they would constantly promote. Pumpkins had like 5 or 6 videos off Melancholy, and they would play them on an hourly basis. And not to mention cool shows, cool countdown shows and whatnot, cool interview shows.
120 minutes.
Yeah, 120 minutes with Pinfield, and now it's nothing. So, it's definitely a different world, but the bands that are still there have found a way to survive, and that's why they're still there. They can, adapt to the circumstances that surround them.
Totally
deep.
Right.
Nice. Nice.
The variables are always changing, but I used to remember 120 Minutes was on Sunday night, and I would sit with a pencil and paper and write down bands and then go and look for the CDs. Yeah, I remember seeing, Bjork when she did her solo stuff, and
sure,
tons of bands. Well, Pumpkins were on there. There was like some of the bands from England,
Beck and Thurston Moore and stuff like that. But it was
XTC. Those are older bands, but they were still. That was awesome. But I mean, right? We still have music. Live music is a big thing, which I think, as you said before, is awesome. I love seeing bands live, so that's good for the new music model. But as far as selling records and all that, I don't know. It's a crazy world out there.
This episode of The Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue in Westmont, Illinois. Family owned and operated since 1997, Uncle Bub's is the real deal barbecue. A family-friendly restaurant open 7 days a week. Also, it's a full-service catering company doing weddings, pig roasts, luau's, grill packages, you name it. They have a friendly, helpful staff that will make sure that your party goes off without a hitch. Call them at 630-493-9000. Visit them at 132 South Cass Avenue in Westmont, Illinois, and UncleBubs.com. Hey man, I know you like grilling. I know you like getting those dark grill marks on your burgers, fish, chicken. And I know you don't want to just dry your meat out like you're cooking with a hairdryer. Why not get the Man Grate and click through the AndyDareShow.com's banner so we can keep the lights on here at Honeycomb Hideout Studios in gorgeous Westmont, Illinois. The Man Grate. This episode of The Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Record Utopia, a music lover's dream with thousands of vinyl records, musical instruments, and sound gear. They buy, sell, and trade. Give them a call at 630-963-1957. Visit them in Westmont, Illinois at 309 West Ogden Avenue, on the web at recordutopia.com. It's always a good, relaxed atmosphere. Check them out, Record Utopia. Yeah, the live thing will never change. There will always be bands playing live. You will never be able to digitize that into something that is, it'll always be the same thing. You're going to go pay for a ticket. You're going to go watch a band in person. And I think that's what will never change. I got some friends are bummed out about it, what we were talking about, but I think it's actually a cooler world in 2014 than it ever has been because everybody's kind of connected through the social media stuff, and it seems like the world is smaller now. You can talk to people that you would never be able to talk to before in a million years.
True.
It's all right in front of you.
I like the connectiveness. Yes. Yeah. How would I have met you, right, when we're sitting here talking about music? And right, I think that, and right, the beat, I mentioned the BeatsMusic, you can, they're using it as a way to meet other people that, you can share your playlist or that like the music you like. Same with Twitter. I initially joined Twitter because of music, just, find out about shows or albums, whatever, or meet like-minded people. So right, that way, right, we're not saying, oh, it was so much better than.
Yeah,
we're saying that, but.
Yeah, those are sad saps, and we're happy where we are in 2014, and
right,
I think that's a beautiful place to end that on a high note. And so Rozee Zombee, it's at Heavy Metal Noise on Twitter.
Yep, it's at Heavy Metal Noise, just this way that it sounds, HeavyMetalNoise. Then my Instagram is at Rozee Zombee, ROZEEZOMBEE. And then I also have a Twitter for my Resistance Pro, and that's Miss Prig at MISSPRIG.
Awesome.
So that's it for me.
All right, well, give her a follow. Check her out on Instagram, and come to Resistance Pro live at Arabian Nights Horse Barn in Willowbrook, Illinois, February 22nd. It's called Girls, Girls, Girls. Should be one to catch and check out. Yeah, I want to thank Rozee Zombie for hanging out for a half hour. And any last words from my listeners?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
that
puppies.
was my dog. And anybody that follows me knows that I have a very cute wiener dog, and
Nice.
he's very heavy metal oriented.
What's his
so
name?
He's going crazy there. His name is Tubbs.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was him just getting his 2 cents in about the music industry. No.
I love it.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome. It was so fun, and I love talking music with you. So, yeah, it was an honor to be a part of your show. Like I told you before, I love your show. It's interesting. It just runs with the gamut. So, yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool, yeah, and the offer's always there. If you want to do your own thing, it's super easy, with computers, laptops nowadays, to do your own podcast. And our little network is looking for a female voice. So, yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch and discuss that off the air.
Yes, I think we should definitely talk more about that.
Awesome, sounds good. So, on behalf of Rozee Zombie, this is Andy Dare signing off for The Andy Dare Show. Be sure to follow Andy on Twitter. That's at Andy Dare. And like our show on Facebook. That's facebook.com/The Andy Dare Show. Videos at youtube.com/Andrew Martin Dare. And we're on iTunes. Just search The Andy Dare Show. Please leave a review. Thanks so much to our wonderful sponsors, Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue, Record Utopia, The Man Great, and Amazon.com. Theme song courtesy of Rich Banks Music. Thank you so much for checking out The Andy Dare Show. TheAndyDareShow.com.